Hello, and welcome to Learn and Love Music. Today we're going to be looking at a couple of works by Johannes Brahms. One written by Young Brahms, another written by Older Brahms. So it becomes sort of a Young Brahms versus Old Brahms. A little bit of a battle in a way. But before we start, I want to encourage all of you to subscribe to our channel. So let's get started with Johannes Brahms. First, a little bit of background. When I was 19 years old, I was enrolled in the Juilliard School in New York, and I was taking lessons from Sasha Gorodnitsky, one of the teachers there. And in my first year, he gave me the Brahms Sonata Opus 1 in C major. And I loved the piece. It sort of matched who I was at that time. I was young and energetic. I think he wanted me to play a piece that was exciting. And that's what this piece is. The C major sonata has a lot of attributes that one might expect from a young composer. There's a strength in the sound, a lot of chords, a lot of this using this power. And by the way, did I mention this was Opus 1? Opus 1, the very first piece that he published. And also, number 2, abrupt key changes. What he did, instead of making smooth modulations between keys, he would suddenly go to a new key. Listen to the opening again and how he goes to the key of from C to B flat major. Here's C. Then he does B flat. So he didn't really develop it so much, he just brought it up a key and made it a little more exciting at that point. And third, we're going to be looking at the importance of a rhythmic drive. Brahms decided to make this piece, his first piece, really exciting in rhythm. So he uses that rhythm all the way through this piece. He does have a slower lyrical theme later on, but the opening has that powerful rhythm. And we hear that in the section when he puts in kind of like a fugue toward the beginning. It sounds like this, using the rhythmic theme. Then up a key. Up another key. So he's quite predictable with the way he uses key changes and also rhythm. He also uses counterpoint. This is something that his predecessors, like Bach, used a lot of counterpoint. And you'll hear that all the way through the piece, this sense of lines that are drawn together in counterpoint. Here's an example of sort of a virtuoso passage where he has counterpoint between the right hand and left hand switching off. So he uses sort of these moving lines, almost like a snake crawling through the music between your hands. And the fifth element is power. Listen to the sound he gets in the development section of the C major sonata. Nothing like a little bit of youthful enthusiasm with that fortissimo. We just listened to 20-year-old Brahms. Now we're going to fast forward ahead to 60-year-old Brahms. Toward the end of his life, Brahms wrote some beautiful lyrical pieces. They were in sets of 5 and 6 pieces. They were called intermezzos and capriccios. I'm going to play one of those intermezzos, the beautiful A major intermezzo. I've used this as a teaching piece for my career at University of Puget Sound, a lot of students love this piece. It's quite popular and it is very heartwarming and beautiful. Quite a difference between what we heard with the younger Brahms. There are 5 elements that I'm going to talk about that set this piece apart from younger Brahms, this wonderful late Brahms piece, the Intermezzo. First of all, lyrical singing. In the beginning of the piece, we have this beautiful legato line. The marking he uses, andante teneramente. Tenere means to hold, and of course tenuto also is another word that we used with that Latin root. But teneramente also means the word tenderly, and it's a great description of this lyrical piece. Point 2, he uses a rich sophistication in harmonies. He probably didn't use that as much in his Opus 1 as opposed to this, his Opus 118. So the harmonies get really complex at times. For example, he changes the theme on the second time through. Inside voices, the way they color all the chords beautifully. Point number 3, he loves to have long lines, not just beautiful harmonies, but long lines. For example, this legato toward the beginning of the piece also. You get this sense that the crescendo is just moving gradually toward this climax at the top. Very typical of late Romantic music and also very typical of late Brahms. And point number 4, he uses intertwining inside melodies, almost in a contrapuntal way. That's what Bach did, but it's not quite like a Bach fugue, but it's more like sort of a weaving of 2 voices together. So here's the second section of the A major intermezzo with some interweaving melodies. Listen to the inside part too. Point number 5, legato touch. He connects everything with a beautiful legato line. Quite a difference between that staccato power that we heard in the C major sonata. In this piece, it's really about smoothness and legato and using the pedal. One of my favorite sections that demonstrates this is in the development section where he goes to the distant key of F sharp major to bring out this legato sound. Listen to this wonderful una quarta. He writes even here più lento, a little slower with the soft pedal down. Beautiful legato lines in F sharp major. And now let's look at some features that both the Old Brahms and the Young Brahms used in their music. Number 1, lyricism. Yes, younger Brahms did compose lyrical music. Listen to this development section of the C major sonata, which we heard earlier. Here's a younger Brahms version of con espressione, legato, very smooth. It's almost almost as if it's a little bit of looking forward to what he was going to be like as a composer 40 years later. Number 2, big rich chord structure throughout. We hear a lot of the big rich chord structures, power and all of that in the Opus 1 sonata, but also in the high points of the intermezzo, we hear that same sort of drama. Here's the build-up to a high point in the second section of the intermezzo. I love the feeling of the arch over that whole phrase. Long phrases, beautiful playing. And also, he gets a little bit of power going as well. I hope you've enjoyed this episode on comparing young Brahms with older Brahms. Make sure you subscribe to our channel. And also, check out the entire performance of the A major intermezzo, which will be linked to this episode. We'll see you next time on Learn and Love Music.